EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, has changed the game for a lot of home care businesses and a lot of businesses worldwide. It helps leaders create structure, accountability, and clarity. I'm a big fan. Actually, I used this inside of my home care business many years ago. But if you run a home care agency, trying to apply EOS out of the box is sometimes it's like forcing a square peg into a round hole. Because here's the reality and here's the truth. Home care, it's not like tech, it's not like SaaS, it's not like manufacturing in some of these much larger companies. It's a complex, emotional, human-centered service where staffing, client experience, and compliance, they all collide. And if you don't adapt the system, you end up outgrowing it, or worse, you get stuck inside of it. So today I'm gonna break down where I believe EOS fails the home care businesses, the mistakes I see a lot of owners making, and how you and your home care business can evolve to actually scale smarter and faster. So here's where EOS falls short for home care businesses. Number one, hiring and turnover speed. One of the biggest reasons EOS falls short in home care is it's how it handles recruiting. In EOS, you're taught to build your leadership team slowly, to hire deliberately. While all these things are good and helpful, the truth is when you bring on a few new people each quarter after months of searching for the perfect fit, there's a reality about home care. In home care, you're often hiring every single week, especially for your caregivers, and you have to do this, otherwise your business, it suffocates, it chokes. Sometimes turnover happens very quickly. It's inconvenient in this industry. It's just a consistent fact of life. Right now, the average caregiver turnover rate is close to 80% industry-wide, meaning for every 10 caregivers that you hire, you might lose 8 of them over the course of a year. And over half of that turnover happens in the first 90 days. So you really want to plan staffing and things like that more than quarterly. When you do it quarterly, it's try like filling bucket once every 3 months. It's too slow, it's too reactive, and it can cost you thousands in missed revenue and client churn. What home care really needs instead, when it comes to recruiting, is you need a recruiting engine. The same way you would build a sales engine, right? Because those are two primary drivers in the business. That means that you got weekly caregiver recruiting targets that you're striving for. You have interview to hire conversions that you're tracking. You've got systems for immediate applicant follow-up. You got KPI dashboards for recruiting outcomes. Example, your show-up rates, your hire rates, your 90-day retention rates. One of my clients, a $2.5 million agency, she came to me exhausted. She was losing sleep every week over no-shows and caregiver shortages and on-call and referrals. They're coming in, but she couldn't staff the cases and it was slowly killing her growth. Together, we installed a weekly recruiting rhythm, a standing recruiting pipeline meeting every Tuesday, text automations to improve interview show-ups, faster offer timelines to capture candidates before they ghosted or found another job. And guess what? In less than 90 days, she doubled her pipeline of active caregivers. Her interview show-up rate jumped by 32%. And she finally had breathing room to grow revenue without worrying if she can staff new clients or having to deal with, stressful on-call issues. Recruiting isn't a to-do list, right? It's not something that you have to do in home care. It's your lifeline. And if you treat it like EOS suggests, like a slow, careful leadership function, you're setting yourself up to struggle. Number two, sales in home care equals relationships, not transactions, right? Another place where I feel like EOS simply just doesn't fit the home care space, it's in the sales world, the sales little bucket, we'll call it. In EOS, the sales process is laid out kind of like a straight pipeline. Capture leads, move them through stages, close the deal. It's classic B2B or B2C thinking, logical, mechanical, transactional. But in home care, it's a lot different. Sales don't happen because of a clever script. Don't get me wrong, scripts can be helpful and useful, but it happens because of relationships. You're not convincing a stranger to buy a widget. You're asking someone, often a nurse, a case manager, a social worker, a discharge planner, to trust you with one of the most important and emotional decisions that they'll ever be a part of. So choosing who will care for a vulnerable senior, those things are very, very, very powerful things. That's why referral partnerships are your real growth engine, not the cold traffic. It's lunches with hospital case managers, or we call them 3P presentations. It's educational in-services at SNFs. It's following up after every referral, whether they've converted or not, because the relationship matters more than just a single transaction. Now, if you stay stuck in this transactional thinking, only tracking lead numbers or conversion rates, you miss a big part of the human heartbeat behind true home care growth. And worse, you spend months spinning your wheels chasing cold leads instead of building pipelines that feed you for years. What home care needs instead of all this is you need to shift from just basic lead generation to relationship generation. It's not transactional. Focus on building deep, trusted connections with a handful of key referral sources, not just chasing the masses. Track relationship depth. How deep are you going in these accounts? Not just lead volume. How many meetings? How many follow-ups? How often are you staying on top of them? How are you adding value to those referral relationships? Educate instead of pitching. Help your referral sources win. Help them place patients better, faster, safer, reduce readmissions. Become their secret weapon. Nurture for the long game. Stay visible, stay valuable, play for years of referrals, not just this quick sale, this quick transaction. If you want real sustainable growth in home care, stop trying to just close leads and start cultivating relationships. It might feel slower at first, but it scales way faster in the long run. It's how some of the top 1% of agencies grow past 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, and beyond. Third thing, client complexity isn't factored in, right? When EOS talks about operations, it assumes a relatively simple service. Customer buys a product or subscribes to a service, the business fulfills it, and then you're done. But in home care, your product isn't a thing, right? It's people taking care of other people. There's a human element to it. And people are messy. They have emotions, they have crises, they have setbacks, they have unique medical needs. There's no one size fits all here. And I think you guys that have been in the business for a while get that. Every client you serve requires a custom care plan, a dynamic roadmap that factors into medical issues, right? Mobility, dementia, post-surgical needs, family dynamics. Some are overprotective daughters, absent sons, feuding siblings, financial and insurance barriers, private pay, Medicaid waivers, VA benefits, a standardized service package mindset. The way EOS often frames operations, it doesn't really work as well here. So if you're trying to run home care like a factory line, you're going to end up overwhelmed, underperforming, and bleeding client trust. What home care really needs instead is you need layered operations, right? You need systems. Your business must have parallel systems running at the same time. Scheduling, matching not just availability, but personality and skill set. There's AI tools for that. Clinical oversight, ongoing client reassessments, medication management, outcome tracking, caregiver management, coaching, retaining, training staff on specific client needs, family communication, keeping families in the loop, managing expectations, smoothing out conflicts, right? There's a lot. Dynamic care plans, not just static files. You got living documents updated with every changing condition or household situation. Strong intake systems. Collect detailed client information before you start services to match them properly from day one. Home care is personal, it's emotional, it's dynamic. If you want to truly scale, you need operations that are just as flexible, responsive, and human as the people that you serve. Otherwise, you'll find yourself constantly chasing fires instead of building a business that actually thrives. Number 4, leadership must be flexible first. In the EOS world, they love to say right person, right seat on the bus. And there's good stuff there, but I like to say right people on the right seat on the right bus. Because in a perfect world, yes, you'd have a visionary and an integrator like EOS suggests, and fully staffed department heads for HR, marketing, operations, and finance. But in the real world of home care, especially agencies between like 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 million, you're not building a perfect company yet, you're building a functional one. Your recruiter might also happen to be your scheduler right now. Your office manager might be handling billing, HR paperwork, compliance tracking, client satisfaction, all in the same afternoon. Hybrid roles aren't a sign of weakness, they're a requirement depending on the stage that you're in. Now, if you try to rigidly apply the EOS model too early, you force everyone into one tiny seat, 2 things end up happening. You overwhelm your team with unrealistic expectations, you cripple your ability to move fast and adapt. What home care really needs instead is hiring for flexibility and problem solving. Kind of need like a Swiss Army knife team members, right? Not hyper specialists yet, especially early on. You got to cross-train your staff. Your intake coordinator should understand recruiting. Your recruiter should know basic scheduling. Everyone should understand client care basics. Grow into the EOS structure. Don't force it. That's, I think, the message I'm trying to get here. Once you hit maybe 2 million, 3 million-ish, and you have the cash flow, then you start splitting seats cleanly, right? Recruiter becomes full-time. Scheduler becomes their own department. The client care manager handles client services exclusively. Maybe start looking for separating out visionary and integrator roles at this point. So You have to reward adaptability. In your leadership culture, praise versatility and resourcefulness. These qualities will carry you through, I'll call it the messy middle of scaling. Building a $10 million agency doesn't start with perfect titles. It starts with people who can flex, figure it out, and move the mission forward, no matter what hat they're wearing that day. So you gotta hire for adaptability now. Structure will come later, and there is a time for that. So how do you fix it for home care? How do you do it? Recruiting equals your core growth system, right? In home care, recruiting is kind of like a sales function. It really is. It's not a side task. It's not just HR, as a lot of people do it. It's your primary growth engine. You need to treat recruiting like your life depends on it, because it does. That means setting weekly recruiting KPIs, new applicants, scheduled interviews, your interview show-up rate, new hires, retention rates, pipeline meetings every single week, just like you would review sales deals. Automation, right? You can do instant text and email follow-ups to candidates, interview reminders, onboarding paperwork, pre-sent to reduce the no-shows, real accountability. Recruiters have clear targets, dashboards, and incentives for performance. You've got to treat recruiting like a sales process and get your applicants excited about the opportunity with your company, tapping into their emotions, building urgency. There's a lot of little components to make this happen effectively when it comes to recruiting. Now, I had one client who upped her number of hires from 8 to 28 in literally 1 month. What did she do? She got a better recruiter in place, same system, better recruiter in place, and then she also mapped out all the ways in her process she can tap into the emotion. All right, those two things, those two shifts, when she did that, she went from 8 to 28. When recruiting becomes a machine, just like getting clients, you create predictable, scalable revenue because you actually can staff the growth as it comes in. The next piece, sales is relationship systems. It's not funnels, okay? You don't just put SEO out there and internet leads and stuff like that. You're not selling t-shirts. You're selling trust. Your goal isn't to just close leads, it's to build referral ecosystems that consistently send you high quality clients. So how do you do that? Number one, you've got to pre-qualify your referral partners, right? And you do that in an effective way. You build relationships with people who have the right types of clients for you and the right amount for you. You track your relationships, who refers, how often, what type of client. You master your pitch in a way where they see you both as unique and that you can help them solve their problems. You need to nurture consistently with what I call value-based selling. Make it more about them and less about you. Focus on solving referral sources problems like safe discharges or placement gaps. And what happens in the long run is they start championing you. Long-term partnerships create exponential growth. The next piece is ops. Ops equals a complex service delivery, but it's simplified. Home care operations aren't a one-size-fits-all. They're just not. You need layered systems to keep it manageable. Intake and onboarding, smooth, fast, empathetic. Families need to feel cared for immediately. Scheduling and caregiver matching, not just filling a shift, but matching skills, personalities, and proximity. One client I mentioned earlier, she uses AI for that. Client check-ins and reassessments, ongoing feedback loops. You've got to catch the small issues before they become big ones and you end up losing clients or caregivers because of it. Caregiver retention support, celebrate wins, address frustrations early, give them a career path, not just a job. Each of these gets its own simple system and weekly attention. Leadership evolves in phases. Like early on, you might not be able to afford a full organizational chart. You might need hybrid leaders, generalists who are gritty, flexible, and growth-minded. These things happen in the early phases. Your recruiter might also be handling new hire onboarding. Your office manager might oversee scheduling and intake. As you grow, then you move to specialization, and that becomes a priority when revenue supports it. I remember when I moved from generalization to specialization with my team. Now I can finally have someone that fully owned their role, and we had full, true accountability. So what matters most early? Creating a culture where people think like owners, solving problems proactively, not just doing your job. Meetings equal tactical problem solving. Most meetings, part of my language, suck because they're just reporting numbers. In home care, meetings should be about first identifying the biggest bottlenecks and then solving problems. Why are interview no-show-ups happening? How do we fix it this week? Removing obstacles. If a recruiter's overloaded, what can we start to automate? Accountability and quick pivots, not letting problems drag on for months. You got to make your meetings short, concise, focused, but also actionable. Okay, stay consistent. If you're not leaving meetings with real problems actually solved, then you're wasting your time and you can't afford to do this. Okay, so EOS can absolutely inspire you, and I'm an overall fan of it. But if you're running a home care agency, you have to customize your systems for the realities of where you are in business. Faster hiring cycles, relationship-driven sales, complex service operations, evolving leadership structure. That's how you grow without burning out or without breaking your team. And if you got value out of this video, please go down below, hit the like button, maybe make a comment, share this with other home care owners who are ready for their next level. Thanks so much for being here. You don't need a new job. You need a real business. Let's do it together.